Hey everyone, welcome back to Power Stroke Maintenance, and today I'm going to be talking about the Power Stroke 6.7 and its reliability. You'll have to excuse the way my bed looks. My wife and I just drove out to Colorado, and so I have all my tools and a lot of extra stuff in here. I am selling this tonneau cover for a short bed, a Super Duty 17 through 19, so if anyone wants to buy a tonneau cover for $100, let me know. Alright, so I'm going to go through 4 of the common problems with these trucks, and basically the most common problems that I am worried about as an owner, and some of the things that I do to mitigate these problems. So number 1 on my list, and this will surprise absolutely no one, but one of the biggest things I'm worried about as an owner is, especially with reliability, the EGR valve and cooler problems. So this system is known to cause issues with the engine because it can get clogged, and that usually happens from carbon buildup from poor quality diesel fuel, and because the EGR itself is basically recirculating exhaust gases back into the combustion chamber, so it's taking soot and dumping it back into your combustion chamber. And so when you have a problem with this, it can cause terrible performance, so the engine will have a lack of power, it can reduce your fuel economy, and obviously damage the engine because you're basically putting fine grains of sand back into your combustion chamber. The second and probably most common failure point on these newer trucks is the high pressure fuel system. So I do have a disaster prevention kit on my truck. Shout out to A-Rod for installing that for me. The high pressure fuel system, if it gets poor quality fuel, you can get all kinds of problems, misfires, losses of power, and everyone knows the engine damage where you have to do an entire new fuel system, new injectors, new everything, because the CP4 blew itself up when it got a grain of sand in the fuel or water, and it sent metal fragments into your engine. The third biggest reliability problem you need to be aware of, and I can't even see it now, but if you look in there, the old turb skis back in there, the turbo, because it is a variable geometry turbo, if the vanes get stuck, which they've been known to do on these rigs, it can cause all kinds of problems, damage the engine. You want to make sure that if your turbo's making whiny noises or making noises that's not supposed to, that you replace it and you don't just keep running it, because it will blow up your entire engine. The last biggest failure point, the thing we all know and love, the DPF and the SCR, that can, if it gets clogged, damage your engine, cause reduced fuel economy. That is probably the 4th issue, and the last one I'll mention on here. Obviously there's some others, but related to the actual system and the engine itself, really you have to worry about the DPF, you have to worry about the EGR, you have to worry about the high pressure fuel system, and you have to worry about the turbo failure, all of which can be very expensive if they decide to shit the bed. Okay, so what are some of the things you can do to prevent these issues from happening? A lot of it, and it's what I talk about a lot on this channel, is just follow a basic maintenance schedule. Change your filters, your fluids, rotate your tires, do it regularly, because this is going to help you prevent problems caused by dirty oil or clogged filters or old fluids. I think something else that kind of goes without saying, and honestly I've seen this on a lot of channels where Ford techs are talking about issues that they have, but address issues promptly. So if your Power Stroke has a problem with the engine, or if the turbo's making noise, or if you have a check engine light on, get it fixed. Don't ignore it and keep driving it. I mean, I had a friend in high school that had one of the 11 through 16 6.7s, and man, he would run the thing for thousands of miles with check engine lights. He wouldn't put def in it, and the thing still ran great. So honestly, these trucks, for even all the complaints people have about them, are pretty bomb-proof. And I just was like, dude, if you actually took care of it, it would have cost you way less. You wouldn't have to worry about replacing your DPF. You wouldn't have to do all this expensive stuff. You just took care of it and addressed the issues when they come up. You know, obviously there's some things that aren't urgent, and there's a lot of mechanics out there that will try to scam you by saying, oh, you need to replace your floor mats, or you need to top up your blinker fluid. But you know, if you're the one diagnosing it and there's a noticeable problem, you should probably stop and make sure it gets fixed before it metastasizes into some horrible issue and costs you thousands of dollars. I feel kind of silly, but I hopped inside because it was raining just to finish out this video. So one of the other things you can do to make sure that your truck is reliable and lasts really long is by running a fuel additive, not just because it lubricates your fuel system, but also because it will help keep your EGR and your DPF from getting plugged and keep them clean. And that is one of the biggest things, because by running an additive, you're increasing the ignitability and the burn of the diesel so that it makes less soot. And that means your filter doesn't have to work as hard to take all the soot and diesel particulates out of the air before it expels it from the chamber. You have to do less regens. It just makes the whole emission system not have to work as hard. Try to stay on top of that. Use a DPF cleaner every 5,000 miles. I know people in the comments are gonna be like, oh, we shouldn't have to use cleaners and detergents. We should just be able to drive our trucks. And I agree with you. I think it says something about the quality of the diesel fuel we're buying, the fact that we need to add additives to it every single tank just to be sure our truck isn't going to explode. But unfortunately, that is just the state of the world these days. And finally, the last thing I'll note here, just as an aside, is just use high quality replacement parts if you're swapping stuff out. The aftermarket for these trucks is incredible. There's a lot of good parts out there. They are expensive, but if you're going to replace something, you know, take the motorcraft part off, put something better on that's gonna last you for a long time. If you're doing your cold side pipe because it ruptured, get something good like an SMB pipe or an HSM pipe, something that's gonna last for the life of the vehicle as you're going to own it, and just get ahead of those problems. You know, there may be some reliability challenges that I missed or glossed over at the beginning of this video. Definitely drop a comment below. For everyone, it's, you know, follow those regular maintenance intervals, replace things when they are broken, just stay on top of stuff, and these trucks will last you for a really long time. Anyway, I appreciate you checking out this video, and definitely subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what reliability issues I missed, and maybe some tips that you guys have to keep your truck running long into the future. I would love to hear what you guys do to get your truck up to 1,000,000 miles, as I am on this journey as well. Cheers.